All presents Viva los Muertos.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And here's a weird one.
You're not my dad, Ben Edlund.
He's kind of my dad.
You were raised by a feral the tick.
I was raised by a feral Ben Edlund. We're talking about a unique episode in Venture Brothers history. The only episode not written by Jackson Publick or Doc Hammer.
Yeah.
Written by Ben Edlund.
Ben Edlund, who had given input earlier, helped write the, Welcome to State Dinner, helped Doc get his feet under him with careers in science, stuff like that. But yeah, Ben Edlund, creator of The Tick, quickly after this would kind of go on to be a little bit too big time to continue doing work for the Venture Brothers.
What does he do now? Do you know?
I don't know. In the book, they say like, oh yeah, like you make way more money being executive producer of so-and-so, that like it doesn't make sense to use that. The opportunity cost is not justifiable to spend your nights doing a script for the Venture Brothers.
Yeah, it just doesn't say what so-and-so is.
No, he doesn't.
No. It powers, The Tick, Gotham.
Yeah.
Supernatural. Did a bunch of Supernatural.
Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense. If anyone was going to guest write an episode, it'd be Ben, because The Tick has a lot of Venture Brothers DNA. It is how Doc and Jackson met. It was through Ben. But it still ends up making kind of a weird episode. He wrote it on his own. It needed a lot of guidance from Jackson Publick, and Jackson did a lot of rewriting of the episode,
because he had not really, like, there were things that he kept up with, things like Hunter's gender affirmation surgery, things like that. There are factual things there, but like the spirit of the show. He hadn't really updated that for himself. The way that Doc Hammer puts it is like, oh, he thought this was still a parody.
Yeah. And this episode ends up being a weird episode where I think this is funny, and there are parts of this that I like absolutely love, but it does feel uncannily off.
Yes.
It feels off the same way State Dinner does, except it's funny to me.
And that's fine, because funny makes up for all kinds of sins, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter to me that the boys aren't quite
First lady that's the motto of the First Lady of our Joker church.
First Lady of our Joker. You mean Harley Quinn?
Yeah. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Jokester.
Yeah. Yeah. No, funny covers up an awful lot, and in some ways, like, it doesn't matter that the boys are off. Because they're not in it very much, and they don't do a whole lot of anything. And the things that they do say are funny.
It's not that off. It was so weird that in the book they focus so much, and in the commentary they focus on the boys. It's like, oh, this is before we really develop personalities for them. This feels right to me. They're just kind of being dipshits, but they're tertiary characters in this. They're not the focus at all. They're just being silly boys.
It resonated with me when they said like, oh, it's off, because here they're still like running directly into danger, solving mysteries, when they wouldn't necessarily be doing as much of that, I mean, especially after this, but like even in season 2, it's not that they were passive. It's just that they kind of stopped being boy adventures. And here it was very much, here's a mystery, let's go.
Yeah. Well, they still, even in this season, Triana disappeared.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're like, it's a mystery, let's do our thing. Like, I don't think that they've really fully made that transition yet. I think that does happen, but that doesn't happen until they start actually growing up with the clone explosion.
Yes.
That's coming. The main A plot of this is about the Groovy Gang.
I love the Groovy Gang, Gary.
I like the Groovy Gang too, man. Like the Groovy Gang is apparently controversial according to the Slack.
It's problematic. I can agree that it's problematic because like it's very much kind of this era to like think Ted Bundy, but like, go ahead.
I mean, it's not. There's a point to this.
Yeah,
like it's not problematic to no end. It's Scooby Doo, which is the 60s, 70s, cool groovy thing.
Yeah,
and then these are four of the most famous figures from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, from the groovy
who
era.
are all horrible.
Yeah, just terrible people. Who are not so much like emblematic, but yes, they would be rolling around in a van.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this is dark side of the 60s shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dark side of the 60s and 70s. Like it wasn't all just like cool hippies and kerchiefs.
Yeah.
It was also your sons of your Sams and your Ted Bundys and your Valerie Solanases,
Yeah.
Your Patty Hearst. Like there's a lot of fucked up shit that happened with the counterculture.
Yeah.
And mashing those together is more than just like, oh, haha, killers. It's like, hey, this is, let's subvert this idea of super fun, groovy 60s. Let's meet the Harlem Globetrotters and beat them at basketball to solve a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it just I laugh specifically at a lot of Ted's lines and the delivery.
Ted and Groovy kill me in this, and then I can tell you nothing but a pelvis wearing a belt, and like just the Valerie Solanas just saying things from the Scum Manifesto, like nothing else.
Do people do we need to explain who who these actual historical figures are?
Yeah,
let's do that now. Do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy was a handsome serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
His handsomeness really came into the limelight because they did a documentary about him, and a bunch of people on Twitter were thirst posting him for him. No good.
That was not just a Twitter being thirsty for anything kind of thing. The fascination with like how handsome Ted Bundy is ended up being a thing even around the time. I mean, there's a reason why people proposed to him in jail. And like he's part of the reason why that became like a meme about people writing letters to famous killers in jail, right? The overall like clean all American, Ted Bundy as Fred makes a lot of sense in this, but also like adding in his like super religiosity that he didn't come to until he was in prison, but also like he was still kind of like that even in life. Like one of the things was that people said about him was like, oh, how could Ted Bundy have done this? He was so active in Republican politics.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. It also explains the version of Dream Date that I bought from the Gremlin shop, where I kept trying to get the Ted Bundy, but kept pulling the Gacy. You got the Gacy Poindexter. Yeah. Valerie Solanas is a radical feminist who wrote something called the Scum Manifesto, which was this idea of like getting rid of all the men, and the few remaining men will be used as, I mean, it's in the episode, be used in breeding pens.
Right, right. She is famous for, who was it that she took a shot at? She shot Andy Warhol, yeah.
As immortalized in the movie, I Shot Andy Warhol. Not the one with Bowie as Andy Warhol, that's Basquiat, but the other one.
Yeah, yeah. Valerie Solanas, not a great thinker. But also had a fucking tragic past. Yeah.
Great line in the commentary where like Doc Hammer's like, "Is it good?" And, like Jackson, no,
about
but,
the
like, yes.
It's like it's good if you want to read the sentence "a groovy all female future." But like if you have heard like a straw, like specifically like second wave feminist, somebody made that, they're probably alluding to something that spread from the kind of the vein that Valerie Solanas was tapped into.
Groovy and the dog is based on the Son of Sam killer.
So it's Sonny.
Sonny. Sonny and Groovy. Groovy's the dog.
Yes, Groovy is the dog. Sonny is Shaggy, and he's based off of David Berkowitz, Son of Sam.
Yes. Yep. who was also a killer. And his dog told him what to do.
It was his neighbor's dog, and he recanted that later.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, neighbor's dog.
Not
I
to
forgot
turns
that.
out
He didn't even own his boss dog. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Imagine taking orders from your neighbor's dog. It's pathetic.
Yeah, weak. Oh man. I never, so I don't associate David Berkowitz with being especially hippie, but
It was the dog connection.
yeah, it was the
Like
that brought him in.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Daphne in this gang is Patty Hearst, the newspaper heiress who was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army. That, like, calling it an army like way overstates it. It was more like Symbionese Liberation, 10 people in a van kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if Patty Hearst ended up killing people, but she definitely was along with them when they did like bank robberies and stuff like that. And she's kind of like a poster child for a popular conception of Stockholm syndrome, because she had fully, apparently, like, when they got her back, either people thought she was brainwashed or like genuinely started believing in the ideology. Stuff like that.
She loved that van.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's who they based these characters on. That's kind of the A plot. They go into the Venture compound looking for things to steal, but Brock is there, and then there's also Venturestein.
Yeah.
Rusty creating life is the other kind of like B plot to this.
Spitting in God's eyes. Yeah.
Yep.
And then asking Brock, go make me more dead people, because he wants to.
No.
Because like the second he gets a working walking corpse, he decides to sell them to the army.
That's there's Doc Venture for you. Not a good person.
Yeah.
Am I a bad guy, Brock? And then the third plot, and probably my favorite, even though I like the Groovy Gang, is Brock having this crisis of identity about killing a henchman and seeking solace in this ayahuasca ceremony. And this speech from Hunter is one of my favorite like monologues.
Oh, it's so good. You can't teach a hammer to love nails.
Yeah, you can't teach a hammer to love nails. That dog don't hunt. Don't hunt. Like it's really good.
Yep.
And also just like a really nice little bit of character development and kind of squaring the circle with Brock being, when Doc Hammer's like, or when Doc Venture is like, hey, I've seen you like tie somebody's optic nerves into a knot. And he's like, well, I never broke their heart. Like, it kind of squaring the circle with the idea that Brock has done really, really horrible things.
Yeah.
And, giving us a solid platform to do the development they're going to do of him as he continues being one of the most dynamic characters in the show.
Yeah.
So I love that plot. I think it was very funny.
And it's interesting that came. I mean, this is also the episode where the boys kind of learn that they're clones, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that like those two particular things, further development from Brock, and then also, the boys having this bomb dropped on them, came from an outside writer, right? Yeah.
And it's also, this is the penultimate episode before the finale, which does tons of work. So it's like interesting that they did these things that kind of set up for season 3. Like the boys, slowly suspecting, but then finally kind of being confirmed that they're clones or that cloning is possible. This is all stuff that's going to happen in season 3.
Yeah.
Which ends with them getting rid of the clones, which is like a really daring move that I really love. Yeah. And ends with a new status quo for Brock. Loses his hair, loses his identity. It's all good shit.
Yes. But this is good shit too, and we should talk about it.
We should. We will.
Yeah.
There's a cold open here, and this is a first-person shooter type thing from first view, the point of view of Texas, a new henchman recruit. The henchmen are storming the Venture compound. 21 is trying to pump him up, and 24 says, 9 out of 10 of the new guys die so quickly. Why are you even talking to him?
Yeah, which is a great thing to say when you're about ready to storm a compound. Yeah. And the monarch gives his villain speech, again, just his complete inability to handle metaphor, saying coil and prepare to strike like the deadly sky flowers you are.
Yep. Not a thing. Yeah. Prepare the distraction / cover to, they just let a big cloud of butterflies loose. Which again, what was I going to do?
Yeah.
One time I went to an arboretum, like kind of butterfly enclosure.
Oh, it's fucking creepy. They land on you and
Which
stuff.
is one of the scariest things I've ever done, because like there are all these signs are like, don't step on them. And I'm like, I'm totally going to like fall down, go boom, and kill the only last living, North African honey lover butterfly in captivity.
Yeah.
And I tiptoed through it like while they were landing on me and just made a beeline directly to the exit. It's like, I'm not looking up. I'm not looking at any plants. I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no. I'm going to pretend like I'm in the past, and if I kill any of these things, it will have drastic consequences for the continuum.
Absolutely. Can you imagine the kind of bailiff they have in Butterfly Court? I'd be fucked.
Yeah, the thing about butterflies is they're fucking horrifying, actually.
Yeah, they're really, really pretty wings just to get you into the most eldritch of abominations in their bodies.
Have you seen their proboscis, dude? Come on.
Yeah, they're full up on proboscis. Like it's no wonder the monarch.
Yeah.
Use them.
Yeah, villainy.
He cuts leash the distraction, and all the guys storm from the trenches, and just immediately there's chaos.
Yeah.
And just get turned back entirely by Brock.
Yeah, who's killing a guy with a push mower. Like he's got him up against a wall and he's push mowing the guy's torso.
It's very, very good. Until eventually he sees our point of view character, Texas. He tries to back off, and Brock doesn't allow him to, which is important for later. He backs up and he twists his head all the way around.
Yeah.
Breaking his neck.
Fun little trick to do in first person. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So we get our title credit, and then we are still in Texas's point of view here. We have a dark screen, and we hear Rusty doing the full Frankenstein bit. More power, all that. As he lets loose this loud electrical discharge, and Texas wakes up.
Yep. He's come back to life. Horrifying. Yeah. Truly one of the worst things that Doc Venture's ever done.
Oh yeah.
He sees himself in the mirror. He screams because he knows this is not right. Should not be, and starts strangling Rusty. He screams, "Brock, cliche!" And Brock is already a little bit off about this whole thing.
Yeah,
but he grabs a fire extinguisher and caves in Venterstein's head. And Rusty is like, you ruined that part. Like you ruined the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do it again. Let's bring this guy back to life, except with a different, a different top of the head. Rusty's a little bit more conciliatory this time. Saying,
he's very, very sweet to him. He's like, "Hey there, honey bunch." Like he's very sweet to the Venture sign.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least this time, because he knows he's going to be strangled. But he says, "I'll chalk your little strangle tantrum up to the surprise resurrection and the adrenaline enema and your basic criminal nature."
Yeah, it's very good. I love it. And Hank goes, "Why is the top of that guy's head black?" And Rusty says, "African American, Hank. The top of that guy's head is African American."
Yeah. Because they had to get a different skull top, and they pulled it off of a black henchman.
Yep.
Which it's the same basic joke
more
as
black henchmen.
God, I will never tire of that tweet. But it's the same basic joke as like, look, I don't know the politically correct way to say that I hunt Blackulas.
Yeah, I hunt black vampires, it's okay because I love that joke.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it too. Like it's really good. Just the idea that they're tiptoeing around saying like, oh, that skin is darker, but like the fact that the head and the hair could be African American as opposed to just like the person. Yeah. I don't know.
Rusty is incredibly like this is some high super science here.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of here for competent Rusty. And he's incredibly excited because this is the last, bringing somebody back to life is the last hill of super science.
Yeah. Well, until teleportation later. Yeah.
Yeah, teleportation later. Yeah. Then Venturstein starts going, "Father," and he's just like, "Oh, you." Again, he's very like coquettish and cute.
It's like false modesty. Like, "Oh, don't call me father. I get enough of that out of these two
from these two dinglings." Yeah.
Horrible thing to say to your children.
Yeah. The Groovy Gang pulls up in their hippie van, and we talked about them before, but they're kind of introduced here.
Yeah.
And also, boy, this is ridiculous. If you don't know what Scooby Doo is, it's this weird story about 4 hippies and a dog.
Yeah.
Who would go in a van from town to town, and they would find like ghost cases that turned out to be amusement park owners trying to get insurance money.
It was always corrupt real estate was the thing.
Yeah. It was all real estate. And then they would team up with Batman and the Harlem Globetrotters and like Banachek and just like random
Don
70s.
Knotts? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Don Knotts, like who just show up. And it was really weird fucking cartoon.
Yeah. That like not only ran back in the 60s and 70s, but has been continually rebooted. I think there was
it never went away.
Yeah. There was a new Scooby Doo movie like here just this past year or something like that.
It's ridiculous. It's like just what if there was a dog and 4 hippies, and like there's your premise, and then and they're in a van called the Mystery Machine. There's like no mystery. The real only mystery is like where do you guys shower? Like
Gary,
what
look
do you
in your
eat?
heart.
Who pays you?
Yeah, who pays you is the bigger thing.
The real mystery is what does it say on your W-2?
Yeah,
Fred.
Oh no, like they have a W-2. They're definitely 1099 miss. Come on.
I know, just subcontracting from the van.
Technically, the van owns us. Yeah.
So yeah, they pull up.
Yeah. Ted's Jinkies. It's a military compound. He calls it a mystery. And Patty says, "Ted, we've been driving to see my parents for 10 years. Like can we go see my parents now?"
Yeah, and he tried to Patty, being out of your box isn't right. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Which is dark. That's another way this episode feels a little weird is because there's some darkness in ways that the Venture Brothers don't usually get dark.
Yeah. Well, you see the box when you cut to the back of the van. The box is it's like a coffin that says redemption.
Yeah. It's like really, really dark.
Yeah.
Sonny is totally strung out, shaking and terrified.
Yeah.
And he's begging the dog Groovy to say something so the other people will believe him. Dog says, "Yours is the wheel of blood. Yours is the sword of Michael."
I love this dialogue. I love Groovy's dialogue so fucking much.
Groovy's really good.
Yeah. And Ted comes back. He gets Sonny out. So like, okay, we need you out here so you can split up and go in a different direction.
Man.
Yeah. Well, and again, some darkness. Ted is controlling Sonny not just through verbal and physical abuse, but by withholding his medication, which he calls Groovy treats. Like he shakes a prescription pill bottle.
Don't fucking know Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
In the show, there was a thing where Shaggy didn't like doing stuff, and the way they would tempt him is by cookies that both he and a dog could eat.
Yeah. Well, it used to be just food. Like the whole first like half of it was like, for like the big early run was like, "Yeah, do you want a sandwich?" And then they would shuffle 2 sandwiches together. Eventually, Casey Kasem became vegetarian. And it's like, "Oh, I can't eat these deli sandwiches that we shuffle together anymore. Can we find something generic?" And thus Scooby Snacks were born.
Scooby Snacks, which is a food for dogs and humans.
Yes.
That entices a hippie and dog alike. So that's what this is referencing.
Yeah.
God, Scooby Doo is fucking weird.
Yeah.
And boring.
It is. Yeah.
I know it sounds exciting, but don't watch it.
No, I mean it's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon from the 70s. Like,
yeah, it's paced like a fucking nightmare. So boring.
Nightmares are exciting.
Nightmares
raise my pulse,
like a waiting
dude.
room.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people walking slowly through hallways in that show.
Yeah, looping hallways. The same basic plot the entire time. Wow.
Yeah, that show fucking sucks.
Yeah.
we cut over to the boys, Brock, Rusty eating breakfast with Venturstein. Dean is upset, and Brock is obviously upset in the background.
Yeah.
Hank is fine. Hank, naive about this.
Right.
And Venturstein keeps staring at Brock until Brock's like, why does he keep staring at me? And Venturstein starts to cry. He's like, no, why is he crying?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get it.
Yeah, he can't put two and two together. Venturstein is terrified of him because Brock killed him twice.
Yeah. Rusty says, because you killed him. And then someone corrects him and says, killed him twice.
Yeah. I love Hank's line.
So
you hit him so hard he's got an afro now.
That's so good. This is before the Frankenstein bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. Orpheus walks in to let Rusty know that he's having per the terms of their rental agreement. He has to let him know about parties he has.
Weird.
He's having a little gathering. He's trying to get everyone to come to his little party. Mm-hmm. It's an ayahuasca ceremony that they don't call it. That's death root. But
yes.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Trying to induce ego death so they can transcend. Yes. Orpheus very quickly spots that there's a corpse sitting at the table and takes exception to this. Because he is concerned. He's a necromancer. Yeah, he concerns himself with the balance of life and death. Love this line is, once again, Mr. Venture, you cut decency to the quick and leave her to die in prostitute alley. Venturstein, thing you got to know about Venturstein is he loves prostitutes.
Yeah, dude is a total classic poonhound.
Prostitute, he says, raising his hands into the air.
Orpheus notices that Brock, he's like, Brock, I expect this kind of shit from Doc, but you and I have shared a cheese sandwich on more than twice. I know that, you must object to this as a man of character. If you ever need to talk, you can with me.
Yeah. And Brock's not having it right now. And we cut away. Brock will eventually take him up on this, though. Over with the Groovy Gang, Ted says, hey, God wants us to solve this mystery. Otherwise, why would he have had us run out of gas right outside this compound? That's also how most of those episodes started, is just the mystery machine breaks down or runs out of gas.
Outside of an amusement park, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sonny's like, it's not out of gas, man. The Sonny voice is very funny.
It is.
There's a 5-gallon tank in the back of the van, and Ted just hits him in the head with a flashlight.
Yeah.
Again, and just going dark. We're dark here.
Yeah. It's like, we need to go in and look for clues. Sonny's like, what do you mean this isn't a mystery? That you are not. I love that Sonny is constantly trying to assert reality. Whereas Ted is just constantly gaslighting everybody. I mean, except for
the guy who's talking to the dog.
Yeah,
is the most grounded.
Yeah, but what kind of clues should we be looking for? And then Ted says to Sonny, clues as to why I shouldn't road haul you until you're nothing but a pelvis wearing a belt.
I love that line.
And
so
the pause between nothing but a pelvis and wearing a belt is key to that. I need to see who did that performance on Ted, actually, because it's really masterful. Good. Yeah.
I think actually all the Groovy Gang voice performances are really good.
Yes.
Even though Val and Patty don't get as much quite to do.
Yes.
Gang split up. Val is just telling, indoctrinating Patty, who's obviously a clear kidnap victim. Yeah. He's just like, men are just walking abortions, incomplete females, incomplete Y chromosome, X chromosomes, which is all just stuff directly from, the groovy all female future of the Scum Manifesto.
Yeah. And I was like, I thought I recognized this. Yeah. No, it's just you just see excerpts of that because it's deranged. Yeah.
Yeah. Ted sees Orpheus teleporting his front door, asking who Hector Molina is and why does he keep getting his junk mail with the Orpheus musical sting.
We should remind people Hector Molina is the sidekick that Rusty picked up in Mexico and then forgot about. Like he was working
Did we ever give him a last name? I knew he was Hector.
I don't know that we got the last name, actually. Maybe?
It would make sense for it to be the same Hector.
Yeah. I believe so, anyway.
I could see this either being Ben Edlund, making that callback or just doing a name and not, since he didn't watch the show that closely.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Sonny is voiced by Paul Bucock, is the name. but I don't know what
unfortunate
else he
last
has done. It is, yeah. He's the voice of Dr. Jonas Venture.
Okay.
He's older. And then who does Ted? Oh, and yeah, Ted is Public.
That's great.
Yeah. Val is Joanna Adler, and Patty is Sue Gilad, who did a voice in the Berserk anime. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Viva la voice actors.
Sorry. Just wanted to get that out because I had the tab up and I wanted to be able to close it. But yes.
Who can't relate? Ted says, heads up gang, it looks like we might have stumbled into a Dracula factory. Again, everyone who sees Orpheus thinks he is a Dracula because of his Dracula medals.
Yes. So the boys, they're up in their room. They're trying to process everything that they've seen. They're searching their maps and their globes for African America.
Yeah, very goofy. That's a little bit naive for the boys.
Little bit,
but,
yes.
Yeah. And they're like, well, let's jump in our learning beds. But Venturstein is in there getting socialized.
Yes.
In the bed. So they're like, well, crap, our bed has a corpse in it. What do we do? They go and look at the window and they see the Groovy Gang wandering around the old manufacturing wing. Mm-hmm. So they, it's a mystery. They have to go take care of it. So they run to go get a flashlight.
Yes. They got to go there. We cut into the bed where Venturstein is watching a video about alternative labor sources, aka sweatshops. The host is called Everyday Joe, giving a presentation about why child labor is good.
Straight up, just very recently on Twitter, someone did like, if you care about women's rights, then maybe you need to reconsider what you think about sweatshops.
What?
Like article by the Cato Institute.
Jeez.
Oh, this horrible piece of shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it makes sense,
expect...
but also it was all over the internet. It was this crazy. I'm like, man, fucking, this is not a parody.
No. Okay. I mean,
stuff.
That makes sense. The way that you said that or introduced it was like it was somebody who was terminally woke. Like the alligator
it's the
tweet
Cato
is what it sounded
Institute
like.
Borrowing the language of the terminally woke.
Yes, there we go.
To do evil.
Fun.
Yeah. As they do.
Yeah. Screw them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but this is what Venturstein is seeing here. I guess because Rusty's first idea is that this will be a source for cheap labor. But he gets a better idea because he gets on the phone with the army. He calls General Man-Hours. And it's a good name.
So good. It's like, well, I suppose the chest cavity could be hollowed out to carry a surprising amount of explosive. Just hypothetically. The chest cavity.
Where lungs go?
Yeah. Man-Hours places a very large order, and he's incredibly excited.
Yeah.
So he crosses off the top of his to-do list, beat God as his own game.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so good.
Freeze frame bonus here. The other items are get money, increase word power, just push-ups with an exclamation mark, and then make everything go my way. And for one person to another, that is not a good to-do list. You want to be a little bit more specific and a little bit more achievable.
Yeah, and especially if you're putting beat God his own game at the top.
Right. Yeah.
That
should go on a poster, not on your to-do list.
Yeah, a cat should be hanging on for dear life.
Yes.
Thinking about that on a poster. Cut to the end of the film reel that Venturstein is watching.
They introduce a little Mexican kid, and is like, and blah blah blah, and then like tells the kid to do a sign off, and he goes "Viva los zapatos." So there's going to be a revolution. Cool.
Which is seeding a future episode of Venturstein.
It is.
Yeah, weirdly enough. Venturstein breaks out of the bed pod and barges away screaming prostitute, but he just says prostitute because he can't say that second T.
Nope.
Over in the garage, Brock is trying to throw his knife, but he's got the yips.
Mm-hmm.
He can't do it. He's come on. He can't hit the target. And eventually he comes to Orpheus and he parrots his line back to him. He's like, I think you're right. I might be a tapestry of quiet desperation.
Yeah. Which is a quote of Pink Floyd quoting Thoreau.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Orpheus, he's got all of his magic and mystical friends over here. He bangs
plus some randos.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the bit in the commentary where they talk about the guy with the leather pants and like They like we didn't get an episode with that guy, I don't think.
No.
But they're talking about bringing him back because they, just like a dude that they saw in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. But they're going to start the death vine ceremony. They introduce this Amazon shaman named Del Rio.
Yes. With the translator, which does kind of as a halting, voice, awkward voice translating everything this wise man says. The alchemist shows, hey, Brock, you old bag of bones. Why are you here? And he can't really say why until Rusty calls on the watch saying like, Brock, I'm gonna need lots and lots of dead people. He's like, why are you calling me? I need like a full gross of dead people. I know, couldn't you, and Brock refuses.
Right, because like he's not an assassin.
Yeah. Well, that's not even assassination. That's
I suppose, that's just murder.
Production.
Yeah. But I love that. I like the phrase, full gross of dead people, but also go make more dead people.
Yeah. I love how he hints around until eventually just go make more. So couldn't you. Well, I've got like 3 or 4, I've got 7 from the compound attack, but, Venturstein, we cut over to him. He's storming through the manufacturing ward. Ted sees this. He's like, oh, it's a Dracula Frankenstein factory.
Yeah.
Cut over to Val continuing her lecture. And I love how there's no attempt to contextualize what Val is saying.
No. She's just saying what she thinks. Yeah.
This is where the men will be kept in breeding. The few remaining men will be kept in breeding pens as studs or for labor or whatever.
Yeah.
Just really intense, groovy, all-female future.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And they played Val reaching and touching Patty's boob as a joke with the Scooby Doo sound effect.
There's been a bunch of Scooby Doo sound effects. This to me is like there's a lot of internet things about the Daphne and Velma.
About the Daphne and Velma's relationship in the original show,
like them being yeah. That is a huge thing. And is it So I assume that was referencing to that subtext.
Yeah, maybe. That's been subtext forever too. So who knows? But they run into Sonny. The boys run into Sonny, who like immediately just swears, loses his shit, turns and runs the other direction, and they give chase. Sonny is scared of them because he killed them before.
Yeah. Like, and they remember back in Baja 2 years ago, and we get this flashback of them in a mine. The Groovy Gang are down in the mine, and the boys are exploring it while the X1 is out of gas, and he beats them to death with a flashlight because he's strung out.
Yeah, no. And this causes Sonny to conclude, hey, we're dealing with some ghosts. There's no way these boys could be around here.
Yeah. Orpheus hands out his Dixie cups full of the Death Vine extract.
I love that the Dixie cups have the jazz design on them.
It's a great design.
Yeah.
Super good. Brock is like, oh, is this going to be a Waco kind of thing? Like, don't let the Dixie cups fool you. The idea is you take this drug and you experience ego death like an ayahuasca. They're all sitting in the circle, and Brock is telling a story of killing Tex. And I love this. I mean, Patrick Warburton as a voice acting MVP of this show. Yeah. Emerging. This is so good. Right? I could see in his eyes if I just let him go, he'd go straight. It's very sad. Yeah. No. Just a kid. But I killed him anyway. And the shaman interrupts with the translator. And the translator adds a lot. Yep. To this because it delays the payoff. Like the idea here is you think that he is going to say something very insightful. Yes. And he talks about, he talks about spying this dolphin swimming the Amazon River and fucking it. Yeah. And that's you don't expect the wise man to say that, but having the translator take it seriously and slowly eke it out. Yeah. Well, while the shaman is like grinning this huge grin and making filthy gestures with his hands. Yeah. The shaman also the ultimate porn dog between him and Venturstein. Yeah. And Brock is like, this is moronic.
why would you do this? And Orpheus is gonna, about to say like, oh, he's a multidimensional genius. Don't you dare step in. This is wise man has a lot to say, but as he's in the middle of this, he starts vomiting pure white stuff into a bucket that's in front of him. Everybody's vomiting into buckets because that's what happens on hallucinogens.
Yep. It just seems very, very scary. Brock is like, oh, you poisoned me. He lays down and he's like, I think I feel bad for killing that guy. He sinks through the floor. And this whole fantasy sequence is wonderful.
Yeah.
Him like naked riding on this dolphin. And he's like, oh yeah. He gets really excited about it.
Yeah. It's across this like pink sea, this psychedelic dreamscape.
So beautiful. It reminded me of Perchance the Dean, which comes later. But as like just the psychedelia and the Venture Brothers is great.
Yeah.
And he's learning that the secret to happiness is empathy, not conquest, until the dolphin is harpooned by this big sexy woman, and then we see that it's Hunter.
saying like, well, what is this garbage? Why are you saying this nonsense? You're beyond good and evil, Superman. You work for the government.
Yeah. Yep. And he says all this humanity stuff is crap because you're going to G-Man Valhalla. It's great. There's trim and guns everywhere. We eat steak flavored clouds and poop secrets. Just like a really incredible monologue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Hunter is also gigantic.
And he's nestling tiny Brock into his bosom in a scene that people have 1000% masturbated to.
Oh yeah. Oh, giantess stuff. Come on.
Absolutely.
Now.
Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in this between and this is even without the shaman fucking the dolphin. Like, this is a dense little bit of fetish.
But yeah, he's cradling Brock against his magnificent tits, and and he puts him down and he flies away up into the sun, and he says to Brock kind of this thesis line: "You can't teach a hammer to love nails, son. That dog don't hunt." Yep.
Really, really good.
Because we have made you you are a tool for the government, and that is a higher calling. You cannot question yourself about this.
Yeah. Or in even a more general sense, like accept your nature.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't spend, and I don't know, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, right?
Right.
But the idea being don't spend a lot of time, hating yourself and feeling like impotent existential dread when you can accept who you are and not.
Yeah.
Which there's seeds of truth to that, even though it's like I also believe in self-improvement and not killing people. So
yeah, both of those things pretty important, I think.
Yeah.
So Brock gets up, he wakes up screaming, "Don't hunt!" And storms out of the party as everybody is vomiting and writhing on the floor.
Yeah, very good. I cut over to Rusty, who's going to the bed pod, being, "Congratulations, Venturstein, you're going to military school with new tapes," but the bed is empty. The boys catch up with the Groovy Gang, and Ted sees, he's like, Sonny's right, they are ghosts. And I love Sonny. Yeah, and this dog fucking talks, man.
I was right about this. I'm right about this dog. You said something about the Sword of Michael earlier. I don't know what that means.
So they say, these kids shouldn't be alive, and Ted says the only way to test if they're ghosts is to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
So the boys run away, and they run right into the clone pod room without really noticing where they're at.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by incomplete clones like in Alien 4.
Yeah. They're talking about I thought they were hippies, but they don't have guns. And Hank immediately jumps to, they must be pirate hippies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From many video or music videos.
Oh, of course.
They're cornered, at this point by the Groovy Gang. Everyone, and then they turn on the lights. They butt back into the lights in a very Scooby Doo esque fashion, and turns on the light, and everyone sees all the clones,
including the boys. And
Ted's like, "You're not ghosts. You're the fucking boys from Brazil," which. That is a fiction thing about cloning Hitler.
Yes.
Those are the boys from Brazil.
Yeah.
So if you ever hear the boys from Brazil, it means a bunch of Hitlers.
Yeah. Just a story about Nazi scientists who absconded to Brazil. Actually happened. Brazil and Argentina.
Oh, absolutely. But the cloning part didn't happen.
Right. But just a sci-fi story about that effort to bring us a new Hitler.
cloning Hitler is what we call a bad look.
Yeah, that's gonna get a yikes from me, fam.
Yeah, mask off. Hitler cloned. And the boys are saved by Venturstein.
Yeah, he's good. Like he comes in and distracts them just long enough that Ted shoots at him and breaks a tank. And Venturstein surfs along on a Hank clone slug across the lab.
There's bongos.
Yeah,
like Scooby,
Scooby Doo, like old cartoon running bongos.
Yeah. Back when we thought that's how people ran.
Yeah. They wore different shoes in the 70s.
It's true. Yeah, feet were different. The Groovy Gang is trying to run away from the Frankenstein, from the Venturstein, and runs right into Brock, who just like grabs Sonny's, shoots Sonny with Ted's gun and headbutts Ted, and just like basically summarily executes the Groovy Gang.
Yeah. I think Val and Patty get away with their corpses are accounted for. Groovy is horribly killed by Venturstein later, but
yeah, good.
Yeah,
Groovy's no good.
Yeah,
you know. And Brock is he snaps out of his ayahuasca death rampage when he sees the boys like curled up on the floor with their having seen their own clones.
Yeah,
Rusty comes in and Brock's like, it's bad, Doc. They're in some kind of saw your own clone coma.
And Rusty's tactic for this is really good. I like the way he gets them out of this. Yeah. Because what he says is, he just snaps them out by yelling at the boys, saying, "Oh, I can't believe you've ruined my Christmas present for you. I was going to get you a clone army that would do all your chores and tell you that you're cool, but now I need to find you something better." And the kids are like, "Oh yeah, neat!" Like completely sidestepping any thought about the horrifying implications.
Yeah, and they just will have to find something better, and they're just like, "You're the best dad ever." It's like, I know. I love the line like, "Army of you's ready to think you're the coolest."
Yeah,
it's very maybe eliminate targets in high risk combat zones. Again, filling their chest cavities with explosives. The boys run off, you little scamps, and Rusty looks at the body of Sonny and Ted and says, "These are a good start," and then starts to pull the plug on the clones to get more bodies, and Brock stops him.
Right, with nothing but a look. That's probably a little too far, Doc.
Yeah, that comes later.
Yeah,
I love the post credits thing with Brock, because the way that his arc in the episode ends is not through him learning not to love violence, but by being a bro and good friends with the person he killed.
Yeah, I have an opportunity here to make it right.
In an incredibly male way, and one that would appeal to Venturstein, who is a legendary poondown, who just says prostitutes. He's like, "That's the idea, buddy."
Venturstein wants to pay for the prostitute with some shoes that he made out of Sonny out of Groovy the dog. Brock says, "No, they're not going to want that, but I've got you covered." And this convinces Venturstein that Brock not bad, Brock good.
Yeah, calling back to the boys, making the Frankenstein comparison and saying that Brock is like fire.
Yes.
To Venturstein, and would walk around going, "Brock bad." Now Brock is good.
Now Brock is good.
And I love Patrick Warburton taking something very seriously. Like, I don't think she's going to want a shoe made out of a dead dog. It's like really fucking amazing shit.
Yeah, it's great.
Love Brock.
Yeah, Brock is good. To quote Venturstein, yeah. I think this is a good episode. Like, yeah, it's weird, and for like understandable and quantifiable reasons. Like the Groovy Gang is exceptionally dark and may not be to everybody's taste, but I was just laughing out loud at all of the delivery, and the way that they were put together. It's a really good parody, even if that's kind of like not the show's remit anymore.
It's not like Ben Edlund isn't funny as hell.
Right.
Like, the Tick is really good. That dude is very funny. Mm-hmm. It feels different. And what I understand, is that like, this is too dark for folk. And the thing I've noticed, again, not interacting with, representative of the population, but just kind of representing on the Slack, is that when people get kind of turned off from the Venture Brothers, a lot of times it's when it's too dark.
Yeah.
For them, because the show does have heart. It's one of its strengths. the occasional dip into ultra darkness does not bother me
Yeah. Well,
in this show.
tastes will vary.
Yeah, exactly. So, your appetite for darkness, how cilantro that is, will be different.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. That's it.
I think
That's
so.
the episode.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
that I have anything more to say about it.
That's it. That's the tweet. We'll be back next time. We're going to do the finale in 2 parts because
Yes.
that's how it aired. And just because there's a lot going on.
Yes. We're going to be setting up a lot of pieces, and we're going to be getting a lot of guild. It's going to be a who's who of guild leadership.
And a really surprisingly long fantasy B plot about Dean's rich inner life.
Yeah.
I forgot how much time, like they talk about in the book and in the commentary, like how stuffed it was and how they had to do so many things. And they're like, you guys spent a lot of time on this never ending story parody.
Yeah.
Like I like it, but
there's a crumple zone here. Like,
yeah, there's definitely like, it's good. And it allows you to put Billy and Pete in there, which I like, but boy, oh boy. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody who supports us on Patreon, which you should do if you want to get episodes early.
You can do that, and you can also support the entire network, and get a whole bunch of bonus content as well that is not related to the Venture Brothers. It's been a while since we've specifically mentioned this, but I should say we have some people to thank, such as our cover art artist, Joshua Jarrett, our theme song by Gwen May. Love the theme song. Love the cover art too.
It's wonderful.
And our announcer at the beginning is Brayton Cameron.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is really abstract, but next time we do a live show or a Duckfest or a streaming event, I found a brand new collection of Ninja Turtles songs. So me and Brayton are going to do a Teenage Dirtbags commentary on that. It's called Turtle Tunes.
When's it from?
From when all of them were like the Coming Out of Their Shell tour aftermath. Yeah. So the stage claps, back in your shells. Being out of your shells is a privilege. More Brayton content on the way. And you can also leave us ratings, reviews, and stuff. We really appreciate that.
Please do. Always, until next time, go Team Venture.